What would be my 2023 super team? Get out of my house. I will stop recording right now. I'm not joining you anymore. Super teams suck. Super teams have almost always sucked. Hello everybody, my name is Quickshot and today I'm going to be watching and ranking the most legendary plays for the last 10 years of the World Championship. Plays that were selected by you, but ranked by me.
100-0 UZI, and knowing if he can position properly, it would then allow him to clean up fights his Vayne. But OMG going for the fights, they have the man advantage.
Oh, lovely, naturally going very deep. Cool gonna go over towards Sammy. There's a Stan United being used very early. UZI is coming in from the backside. Surprise, here comes the Vayne. Kill for White. Sam's not going to escape this one. They focus down UZI, but look at him. He's still alive. He's still surviving. He stays alive. Ace for Royal Club. What an amazing fight coming out of them.
Oh my God. I have goosebumps because Worlds 2013 was my first World Championship. I'd worked 2012 as a freelancer in the scene, and I was actually hosting the analyst desk for large portions of playoffs. I'd watched Joe Miller and Lee D-Man-Smith for over a decade prior to working in the scene. And when I go back and I just listen, it's simple. It's simple. When you hear Joe's focus turn his attention to Uzi and he goes, there's a Vayne, you can almost hear in his voice like he thinks Uzi's going to go down. He's still alive. He stays alive. You hear that build up. There are very, very few commentators that had that effortless ability to convey emotion. Oh, God, you put me in a difficult position. So first of all, I love the clip. It means a lot to me because it was my first big event. And this tier list is going to move a lot. So welcome to the world's most legendary plays tier list. We have 5 clips to look at. You'll notice that it's triple S, S, A, and B. First of all, nobody's going to be on the legendary list that you fans at home have picked will ever be lower than B or C tier. But I need to create some drama, right? I need to create some, let's say, emotional conversation. So anything below B tier will be a quick stats tier play. And I don't know where that's going to go. What I will do, though, is I think I have to start Uzi. I'm starting him on an S because there's a bit more emotional involvement. This will not be the final position, I'm sure. Uzi was a generation-defining player, one that led the charge for all LPL AD carries. It's really difficult to quantify and to explain just how insanely good at this game he is, to the point that every single click of the mouse, every single ability that he used was not only, sort of the correct thing to do at the time, but he would challenge players in lane for every creep score. He would push. He was hyper aggressive. And every time Uzi had a different support. I mean, they made 2 world finals back to back with 4 different players around him because this guy was just that good. It was hugely impressive to see, and there are very, very few players that had that level of ability that consistently. The scary thing is, since he's left in the shadow of Uzi, an entire plethora of LPL AD carries have risen up. We're waiting to see one be as dominant. I don't know if there ever will be. He was playing at a time that the scene was developing, the player base was growing, and there may never be a bot laner as cracked as Uzi is. But I definitely remember this individual play, and I think a lot of people who've been watching the first decade of League will have that name etched into their brains. Uzi, the monster bot laner.
They have double Mountain Drakes. It speaks to their strengths of being able to burst down the Baron, and they're hoping to get Rock to pull out.
It's rooted, they're going! Teleport's coming in! Curtain Call and Wish have already been used, and Trick is running away! Expect gets caught down. He's got a PA, remember, but he needs Mega... Deleted! Remember, I've seen one! A G2 or aced!
I hate watching this clip back. I really hate watching this clip back because, frankly, G2 are smarter than this. G2 are better than this. When you watch this with me, please look at the minimap, okay? SMEB is literally just walking down the middle lane. I mean, I'm pausing this. There's no flanking. There's no flank wards. This is a 5v5 ARAM in the middle lane. SMEB doesn't even have flash available. And what did G2 do? They step all the way forward. And look at SMEB. He electro hamsters in with the E. He uses the rocket belt and slicing maelstroms an entire region's hopes and dreams. I genuinely hate this clip, and I'm frustrated at whoever put me in the seat to watch this back. Oh. Do you know what? This is going B tier for now, because the play itself was not that great. It hurt. The emotion was terrible. But seriously, look at G2. They step into the electric cage. I didn't think this was going to be a painful experience, so we're going to go B. We're going to go B with this one. I give kudos to SMEB, but let's be frank, they've been better flanks. They've been better plays.
Go down, but Khan, right to the backside, Caps goes golden, there's no one else to follow up, Khan's damage doesn't matter. But the ulti comes out, it's such a close exchange. For now, they're winning, but Perkz is coming in. This is his hero moment. If he wants to turn this fight in favor of team, this could be the game. He gets the fighting moment. Faker is gone. Teddy's next on the list. There's no way he can duel Yasuo. Amada's coming in, but he's just walking into the meat grinder of Perkz. Khan, can he do it? It's not enough. They've done it. G2. Khan, can he get it done? He can't. The Vladimir. They can't do it. This is it. The greatest team in the history of League of Legends, taken down by the greatest team Europe has ever produced. FPX, get ready. G2 is heading to Paris.
Oh, I am shaking. I'm shaking. God, this is undeniable. I have to go straight back to the tier list. Perkz goes straight to quick stats tier. Bruh, you're 1, 6, and 6. So I remember hearing Perkz 2 months ago, listening to this clip and even like flaming his own performance. I mean, I've got to go back to this, right? And I think specifically when you look at how much time and space G2 are buying, it's really, really clear that they're committing everything. Ultimates, flashes, space, and CC. SKT just can't get the damage down. And as soon as Faker drops, everything is lined up. Like, for Perkz, he had the Mickey ultimate into the blast cone, into the wind wall, you know, into the E dash, through Teddy to go forward. I think he even used the scuttles, the chickens, to dash the damage from Khan's E. Like, it is too good to be true. It was too well set up. And all credit to Perkz. He played that well. But my word, you were gifted this moment. And the entire team set it up. So credit to the rest of G2. I'm going to give this quick stats tier just because of the storyline. If you were to tell me that a Yasuo Gragas bot lane that got dumpstered were 1, 6, and 6 in a matchup against the world's best, no, the best team that League of Legends has ever produced ever, and he's going to get Gragas ult, blast cone, dash from me, chickens to dash to, and manage to pick it up and clean the fight and win the game, I literally would say you're a liar, because you can't write that story. And you can't write any quick stats story. So this is quick stats tier. Absolutely love the play. And I think if I was judging shoutcast calls and it was Dracos' face, I'd put Dracos' face in triple S because that's one of the best lines ever. What would be my 2023 super team? Get out of my house. I will stop recording right now. I'm not joining you. Super teams suck. Super teams have almost always sucked. So I think what you need to do is I think you need to look at duos, people that synergize incredibly well. So for example, Comp and Trimby would be a bot lane that I would arguably pick over any other bot lane for Europe. I think Trimby's creativity, I think his emotional awareness and acuity off server is phenomenal. I think I would probably pair them with Jankos and Caps. And again, similar thing for how the two of them coordinate and play together. But what I'm missing now is that leadership. What I'm missing now is somebody that I can say wholeheartedly is a level-headed, sound, battle-tested captain. And after the 2022 season, my top laner would be Perkz. He's already dominated mid and bot lane, and frankly, you don't have to be as good a player to dominate in the top lane. So I would role swap Perkz, and I think the synergy that you're going to have with Jankos, Perkz, and Caps, plus then the leadership that he's going to share with Comp and Trimby, the conversational elements that you have from the enthusiastic Jankos, the slightly more soft-spoken, at least in studio, Trimby, the more quiet and gameplay-focused Caps and Comp, I think they will synergize. You could make an argument that's a super team. I'm here to hear it or whatnot, but my thinking is not to pick the 5 best players. My thinking is to pick the skill sets that match both on and off the Rift. and assuming that I can see Perkz play on and, you know, not mess it up, that would be the only deciding factor for me.
They're getting a third Mountain Drake. They already got the first Baron. That was huge for them to actually get a bigger goal lead. They're saving the Drake for now. They got two already. Bang is hiding. He's coming. Bang looking to come in. Here comes your initiation. They're right through. Oh my God.
Baker Shockwave will find them all. And SKT, with a hell of a response, will take down 4. They did it. They fought back from a 9,000 gold deficit and won a team fight against all expectations.
This was such a great punish, and when I go back right to the beginning of the play, if you look at the minimap and the vision, I think both teams are actually doing the right thing. You know, when you look at the minimap, you can see that EDG are favoring, you know, bot lane red side. They've got their vision, they've pushed it out. I think they were setting up the challenging for Drake. They've got 2 already, right? So they're setting a vision, pushing that wave. They step forward. T1, on the other hand, they're playing with their vision. So both sides are doing like the correct thing. For me, this is probably I already have to go. I think this is SSS tier for now. And it's just a combination of everything. What you probably assume, there are a number of blue side pings on that mid lane, being like, okay, what's happening? Where are they? We're not 100% sure. Let's push this wave out. And I think the fact that Mountain Drake is live, you can already start to infer what EDG's plan is. Push out bottom wave, ward it up, push out mid wave, drop back, pick up Dragon 3. You know, we've got a significant lead. We're 10k up. There's no ways they would fight us, right? Especially a Korean team. There's no ways LCK is going to go in your face, see hero, kill hero. That's what EDG are thinking, because we go back to the World Championship and you go back years prior, I think even to this day, I think there's a lot of fans watching this that will go, the LCK is pretty boring. The LCK is not very kill heavy. So I think all of those factors come into play, and SKT are just like, haha, nope. We're just going to engage on you. We're just going to, again, subvert expectations. They kind of they knew what the game plan was. And everything landed. The spicy hot pot. Unfortunately, in this game, it was inverted. But my favorite wombo combo, I'll give you two actually, is Jarvan plus Rumble or Jarvan plus Kennen. As somebody who comes from a region that's been on the receiving end of many Jarvan Kennen wombo combos, I think the combination of a jungler and a top laner, especially top laners who for years have been isolated, have played the game a little bit by themselves, they only come for those impactful plays, those magical moments. I think when you start seeing a Jarvan and a Kennen, a Jarvan and a Rumble comboing up, it's great. I will be honest, I'm tired of Orianna ultis. The 3000 Elo Shockwave, for any of you golden ultis that used to watch Kerp and his trackball, it's great, it's amazing to watch. But geez, we've seen that champion for years. Give me a different wombo in that mid lane. You know, I think an exciting scatter of the week from Syndra plus Rumble plus, you know, Cataclysm, they're a bit more exciting. But anyways, it's that jungle top that's my favorite.
Keep mid lane alive because top and Hib has been killed, and they even got the pick off on Bang.
Rox doesn't actually have to stop pushing right now. They can delay the recalls. The arrows. Look at the arrow. He can teleport.
He's stopped too, which means they can push. It's now on Wolf. It's a teleport coming in for SMEB and Curl. How much more can be done?
I don't know if Prey had vision from that minion wave or it was an educated guess, but you'll notice that Duke doesn't interrupt his recall. Either the prediction, the information, the timing, frankly, it's irrelevant. It's just an awesome moment. What I love about this play is just how memorable it is, because if I'm gonna be real honest about this, if you look at the game state, if you look at the composition, you see how it's playing out, especially with this misfortune coming out and the surprise pick, the impact that it had in the semifinals and then went on to the finals. Rox had such a creative approach and they were, you know, supplanting, kind of upending SKT. This game should have always been theirs to win, but my word, is it fancy and flashy to end it the way that Prey did. It's just too epic. It's just too exciting. But you see what I mean? The arrow itself, frankly, kind of irrelevant. But the memory is absolutely fantastic. And I actually think, I don't think I need to make any changes here. In terms of plays, I don't think UZI's Vayne play is really at S tier. However, this is my ranking. You at home asked me to rank the players, and for me and my memory, that was particularly special. SMEB will always hurt, so I have to put it down. And actually, I'm going to swap it with Perkz. I'm actually going to swap it with Perkz. I'm going to give the logic for why, and this will be my final tier list, okay? Perkz, my homeboy, he didn't deserve it. The play was set up for him. He got lucky. And SMEB, the reason I'll go quick stats, the whole point of quick stats, the character, is to be educational, to highlight things that, you know, really don't matter in the grand scheme of things, that really don't have the biggest influence. I mean, you know, where are we now? Where are these players at the moment? How are they performing? And who seriously gets caught out in a 5v5 ARAM in the middle lane? Please don't do that at the World Championship, anybody. Otherwise, I'm going to have to cover in quick stats. From personal experience, part of the reason I think so many people reflect on SKT Rocks as the greatest match of all time is multifactored. I've said at some other point in this conversation, but 2016 was one of the first years that challenges from Korea came from multiple teams. You know, Samsung Galaxy and the Rockstars were all considered like very serious threats. 3 out of the 4 teams in semifinals were from South Korea. It was a South Korea final. There was also, frankly, an intangible emotional connection to the players. Prey and Gorilla were just so lovable and so entertaining and so nice. They busted out the Misfortune support for the first time. I remember Jat freaking out in draft, and it worked. It was super like inspiring and amazing to watch. And every single game was close. Every single game went back and forth. So it was one of the most amazing 5-game series, and it was then followed up with SKT Samsung Galaxy being a 5-game final. So I want to take one step further, and the question was, you know, why is this the greatest semifinal ever? I think it's because it also led into the best final we've ever had. I'd make the argument that these 2 back-to-back series were the 2 best BO5s that we've ever had from semifinals and finals as a combo, and I think they shine on one another, they reflect on one another, but you can't ignore the rest of the storylines, the rest of the players. Albus Noxluna dropping out, you can't ignore being in North America, being in Madison Square Garden, sold out. This is an arena that even a South African like me has heard about and knows about, so you're not in these places that are small but, you know, locally relevant, they're internationally relevant. All of those factors come together, and it's gave us that incredible spectacle. Thank you so much for joining me in revisiting some of the world's most legendary plays. You picked them, I ranked them. I'd love to know if you thought I did a good or a bad job, or if you would have changed the order by hitting me up in the comments down below. For now, that's me. I've been Quickshot, and I'll see you at Worlds 2022.